Let's go ahead and just adapt and adjust. And I always come back to the breath and focus on the breath, knowing that that is the life of the divine within me, my receiving and releasing. And as always, it becomes fuller and slower. And I notice that my shoulders begin to relax. Sometimes certain parts of the body begin to tingle as I get into that space and place of letting go, of releasing, of surrendering to the process, to the meditation. And so today's word is enlightenment. And whatever you choose to focus on today, whether it's enlightenment, the I am, gratitude, or another word from the past that you're still working with, go to that space and place right here, right now. In gratitude, this morning we come together, one with each other, one with the Creator, with the divine, with the power that resides deep in each and every one of us. We come in spiritual practice in the two or more to be enlightened by the Christ consciousness that lives deep within each of us. And so we surrender to the words, to the journey. We surrender to the journal and to the pen, knowing that indeed it is not our words, but Christ's words that are on the page each and every day. And so I give thanks for this time that we share. I give thanks for those who have said yes to deepen their spiritual practice and their spiritual being. And so I just return this to the universe, grateful for all that is, knowing it is already done. And so it is. Amen. Well, Crystal, give us our definition this morning.
Definition of enlightenment. The or means of enlightenment. Oh, the means of enlightenment. The state of being enlightened. Buddhism, a final blessed state marked by absence of desire or suffering.
Who's got the quote? Terry, how about the quote this morning?
There is no way to enlightenment. Enlightenment is the way. It's a principle of living rather than seeking. By Wayne Dyer.
And Michael, how about the Bible?
2 Corinthians 4:6. For God, who said, "Let light shine out of the darkness," has shone in our hearts so that we may be enlightened with knowledge of the glory of God in the person of Christ.
And then our affirmation today is I completely and totally deserve to be enlightened. And our practice is call someone who needs your support today. So as we begin the journaling process, the opening statement is what enlightenment means is what it's supposed to be, not me. So what enlightenment means.
Aren't I supposed to read a story?
Oh, thank you, Peggy. I'm not always here, even though I'm enthusiastic, I'm not always. Thanks, Peggy. Go for it.
Okay, I think the story really demonstrates, it's an example of Wayne Dyer's quote. It's called My Story of Enlightenment by Rajiv Agarwal, and I got it off the internet and condensed it. I dedicated 23 years of my life to find enlightenment. I was born in Siliguri, a small town in India, in 1976. Since early childhood, I had an intense fascination for the unknown. I went for my college in New Delhi, and it was during this period that I started exploring the healing therapies of different traditions. I was quite good at healing, and the people I healed saw great improvements in their health. But I knew I was just on the surface, and true healing could only arise once I understood consciousness, once I attained enlightenment. I didn't want to be distracted from my lofty goal, and I slowly distanced myself from my image as a healer. Eventually, I decided to shift to Mumbai, where I found creative expression as a freelance sound designer and musician. I took few gigs and dedicated most of my time to my spiritual pursuit. I traveled extensively across the entire length and breadth of India, especially the Himalayas. I met countless saints and enlightenment masters and lived a life of utter simplicity. In 2005, I had gone to Mirik, a small town in the Himalayas, for silent contemplation. One day, as I was strolling beside the beautiful mountain lake, engrossed in witnessing my consciousness, something unexpected happened. As I looked within, I could feel my consciousness slowly expanding beyond my body. To my utter amazement, my consciousness expanded and slowly embraced the lake and the mountain ranges. As I looked at the clouds, I could see them become one with me. I was suddenly everywhere. The entire space was myself, and everything under the sky was me. Every point of space contained me, reflected my consciousness, which was mine, but was also universal. The entire creation melted into a luminous wave of consciousness. I was free from the bondage of individuality, from being a mere speck. I was the totality, but it was not me as a person. There was identity, but it was universal, all embracing. It was at this moment that the teachings of my gurus all unfolded, and I realized what they were trying to point at. For years, I had read them, contemplated their teachings, but now, at this moment, I was living them. The spiritual awakening experience caused a permanent shift in my understanding. However, the deeper effects of the awakening started fading away in the next 6 months. But I had got a taste of the potential of my own consciousness, and I wanted to make this my permanent state of being. More than ever before, I wanted enlightenment. Enlightenment. This one word brought untold grief and suffering to me for the next few years. I started chasing the abstract, mystical concepts of enlightenment and fell down the rabbit hole of grace, guru, and nirvana. Most of my waking state was absorbed in contemplating awareness and consciousness. I knew if I witnessed my consciousness a little longer, meditated a little more, I would go beyond the veil of illusion and find my own true self. The more I chased enlightenment, the more miserable I became. After being a miserable seeker for 7 years, I was utterly exhausted. I still experienced the states of profound bliss and peace, but bliss wasn't good enough. Peace wasn't good enough. I needed enlightenment, the ultimate resting place. Either you were enlightened and perfect, or you were still in duality, in illusion. It was a black and white situation. Either you attained it or you were imperfect. It was in 2013, I was in India when I started having doubts about enlightenment. For years, I had unquestioning faith in its existence. The more I started questioning it, the more it started to fall apart. Then it struck me. I was looking for a perfect enlightened state in the future, a state which someone else had experienced. I had been caught in endless becoming, the desire to find a perfect state of being, which I had read in books. And I had totally forgotten about what I had, the infinite bliss and peace which I had always experienced, the state of beyond mind and consciousness, the state of pure awareness. At that moment, an intense joy overwhelmed me, shaking the very core of my being. The vast treasure of awakening had always been with me, but my spiritual greed of becoming more, of wanting to be permanent, had made me blind to it. It was like having billions of dollars and still being miserable because you are not as rich as Bill Gates. That day, I stopped becoming. I stopped seeking. I stopped being a miserable seeker. I had finally arrived. That was the endless dawn of awakening. It took some years for this final shift to be totally integrated. Life has become immensely beautiful living in present conscious awareness. Stillness has become the background for all activities. Spontaneous states of bliss and ecstasy arise, carrying me to the infinite shore of immense joy. There is a sacred wonderment when beholding nature and life in all its diversity. There is a shining darkness, an unfathomable silence, space which is empty yet full. I call it what is, the sense of presence. And I would like everyone to experience these amazing higher states of consciousness at least once in their lifetime. Even the sun pales in front of the immensity of consciousness.
Thank you, Peggy. Thanks for sharing. Okay, I corrected the opening statement for journaling. What enlightenment means. Okay, bring it to a close. And would anyone like to share what they have written this morning?
I'll share. This is Spring.
Okay,
I am the way, the truth, and the light. An unwavering lightness of being involving weightless, pure awareness, profound bliss and peace, a spontaneous transcendence beyond a sense of striving, struggle, suffering, oneness with all and yet individuated, merged with light, love, and all godly attributes, at one ment, where all error falls away, a sense of merged human and spiritual selves, pure Christ consciousness, beyond veils of illusion, unburdened, weightless, floating, free of impediments, worries, bodily concerns, or untruth. Enlightenment.
thank you, Spring. Would anyone else like to share? Crystal, go ahead.
What enlightenment means is to experience a vast warmth of universal essence. It is calm, the calm in life that for most of us can seem elusive. Enlightenment is a state of mind and being, reflecting into the world, my light within, and acknowledging the light in others and all things. It is a hum of sweet vibration, of harmony with all. Enlightenment can often start in a place of struggle, like in the book of No Mud, No Lotus. That was just kind of like a personal note. Sorry, guys. It was just like, oh, go back to that.
Okay,
Enlightenment means to be in a state of consciousness that is free of life's burdens, a way of letting go of attachment, a space of divine. Enlightenment is less of feeling, it is more of a way to live. That's where I ended.
okay. All right. We have time for one more short one if anybody's got it. Sandy, go for it. Sandy, you're mute.
Perhaps enlightenment means being in pure awareness and truly seeing God in everything and living in that state of unity. My personal experiences of enlightenment are moments when I recognize my inner self-knowing of things I have never known before. It is that pure awareness of, wow, I observe and listen and I watch what I am being and doing like an observer outside myself. Enlightenment in the human self is fleeting. It is observable in brief moments, then it's gone. It is being the I am that I am. It is moments when the capital S self knows and speaks through me. As my human self, I do nothing alone. As my spiritual self, I am in absolute knowing of God and all things are possible.
And don't forget that there's always that bottom statement down there about gratitude. Who should I be grateful for experiences with, like in today's instance, of enlightenment? If you had a teacher or sometime that you were someplace that it just was so overpowering, that's what you want to acknowledge down there. And sometimes send a note to that individual or that situation and be sure and say, Thank you. Crystal, will you pray us out today, please?
So as we head out into the world today, let us acknowledge just the presence and the divine essence of God and the universal law in all things. We are acknowledging that in that, in the raindrops and in the beautiful birds and in all things that we experience, we are also a part of God. And God is present in all of us and everything we do. I'm hoping that in today, we all experience enlightenment in one form or another, finding the sweet softness of the divine, comforting us. I am grateful for this, and I let it be. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you. Have an enlightened day, everybody. We'll see you
Thank you.
tomorrow morning.